You might assume that an EV is significantly cheaper to run than a petrol car, but is that really the case? That's what we're going to be finding out today.
To start this test, we're at Cobham Services on the M25 south of London. I've got a fully electric BMW i4, and right now I'm topping up the battery to 100%.
And I'm in a BMW M440i Gran Coupe. It's pretty much identical to the i4 other than the fact it has a petrol engine, of course, and I'm just brimming the tank. When Doug is finished charging, we're going to head up to Leeds. That's about 200 miles from here. When we get there, we're going to crunch some numbers and find out how much all of this costs.
Okay, let me tell you a bit more about the i4 that we've got on this test. This is the i4 M50, which is the more powerful of the two versions of this car that you can get. And it's pretty expensive, costs more than £65,000, but it's very quick, it's very powerful, and it's got a pretty big battery as well. The usable capacity is 80.7 kilowatt hours, and that's good for a claimed WLTP range around 300 miles. So in theory, the 200-mile journey that we're planning to do today should be easily manageable in this car. But I am a little bit nervous because the vast majority of those 200 miles are going to be on the motorway, where electric cars at those faster speeds aren't as efficient as they would be doing slower speeds. So it should make it, but I'm not sure if it will make it comfortably.
Pretty sure I'm going to have no problems making it in one go in this. It's showing me 444 miles after I've just brimmed the tank. This is the 440i, as I've already said. It's the range-topping version of the 4 Series Gran Coupe lineup, and it has a 3-litre straight-six petrol engine. It isn't quite as quick as Doug's i4. It can do 0 to 62 in 4.7 seconds, but it is quite a lot cheaper. It costs less than £60,000, and on paper at least, it should average around 35 mpg.
Well, that nice simple route that we had from London to Leeds has gone out the window almost instantly because the traffic today is absolutely horrendous. So this is very representative of a real life journey in the UK where you think you know where you're going to go, but the traffic is so bad that you have to do a massive detour right at the start and probably turn up late to whatever you're heading to. We've also got the climate control set to auto at 21 degrees. I've got the regenerative braking set to adaptive, and we're not trying to hypermile this or anything. We're trying to make it representative of a real world journey when you need to go from London to Leeds in one hit. So let's see what happens.
Douglas.
Will, we are over halfway, so it's time for a progress update. What is your trip computer saying at the minute?
Mine's actually saying 38 mpg, which is quite a bit better than this car's supposed to do. I have been sticking to the speed limit, so that might be why. But yeah, so far so good. I've got 330 miles predicted range, so should quite easily make it.
So my battery is down to 38%. My predicted range is 96 miles, and we've got 83 miles left until we get to the Ionity charger. So
That'll be fine.
I think we'll still make it, because also hopefully the trip computer is intelligent enough to realise that we've mostly been doing motorway miles so far. So surely it will kind of take the prediction of what's left based on the average speed that we've been doing for today, but also maybe not. Hello.
Doug, I can still see you in my rear view mirror, so you haven't run out yet, but are you going to make it?
I haven't run out yet. I have been quite nervous basically the whole time we've been on the M1. I can tell you that right now, so we've got 8 miles until we reach the charger. I've got 17 miles left.
So you're going to make it, but it's going to be close.
I should make it, unless something goes horribly wrong. That should be enough. And of course, if I wasn't driving as part of this test with you, then I would probably, quite a few miles ago, I would have stuck it in Eco Pro. I would have made the regen braking stronger than it is, that kind of thing. But I'm determined not to resort to anything like that, so we can make this as fair as possible.
I've got between half and 3/4 of a tank left, And apparently, I don't know if I believe this or not, but apparently I'm doing 39.7 mpg. That's the average on the trip so far. And this car's only supposed to do about 35 mpg.
39.7?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, nearly 40 mpg. It's not bad from a 3 litre straight six with this much power.
That is ridiculous. Whereas I have got 5% of my battery charge left.
Yeah, I've still got 280 miles remaining predicted range. So yeah, I can easily get back down to Cobham again, I think. In fact, I might do that.
And here we are at the Ionity chargers, and every single one is taken. But that's okay, I'm not particularly in a rush. And I've made it, that's the important thing. This wasn't supposed to be a range test, but it kind of has turned into one, hasn't it? So I've made it, the trip computer's saying 227.7 miles. I've got 11 miles of range left. Now, I suppose I better get comfortable and wait for a charger to become free.
Okay, just pulling into the fuel station here, and I can't quite believe this, but it's saying I've done 39.9 mpg on the way up here. Couldn't quite hit 40, but still, that's way more than this car's supposed to do. It is a long motorway journey, of course, but still, for a car with this much power, that is very good. But let's find out how accurate that is and fill it up. Right, so just filled up. Here's the receipt. So how much did we spend?
Before we reveal those numbers, it is the next day. We're in Leeds and we're going to do the return journey from here down to Cobham services in 2 different cars. So now I've got the fuel-powered Peugeot 208 and I'm just about to fill it up with petrol.
And I'm charging up the E208. It's pretty much exactly the same car, but it's powered by batteries, of course. And because we're looking at cheaper cars here, it's not just the money side of things, because this car has a shorter range, so I'm not entirely sure it's going to make it back down south on a full charge, but let's find out.
By the way, the Peugeot that I'm in is the Peugeot 208 PureTech 100 GT Premium. So that means it gets a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine with 99 brake horsepower, and I've got a 6-speed manual gearbox with it. You can have this engine and this gearbox combination in the 208 from around about £20,000, but because we've got high spec GT Premium, that means that this car costs a little bit more than £24,000, which is quite expensive in the 208 lineup, but it's still a fair bit cheaper than the E208.
Now the E208 is in many ways a very good electric car, in the same way that the regular Peugeot 208 is a very good car. It's comfortable, it has a nice interior, it's reasonably refined on the motorway, but the range isn't that spectacular. It's not as bad as cars like the Mini Electric and the Honda E, but this car can't do as many miles as a Renault Zoe, for example, which is another rival, and nowhere near, of course, as many as the i4, although that is a lot more expensive. And I wouldn't mind so much if you had some realistic figure from the manufacturer and the trip computer, but we're doing 70 miles an hour here. We're not gunning it along at 95. And in fact, some sections of the M1 have been down to 60, so that's enabled the car to be even more efficient. And yet, I started off with 213 miles showing on the range indicator after a long motorway journey yesterday, so it isn't as though we'd been driving the car around town for a week. I have done 48 miles and I've used up 88 miles of charge, so it's dropping at pretty much double the rate of the miles that we're actually doing, and for that reason I don't think there's any chance of us making it even to Milton Keynes, let alone to Cobham. Okay, so we're back on the road. We've just had a quick top up to 70%, took around 20 minutes. So let's see how we get on, and when we get there we'll do some charging, work out some numbers and tell you how much all this costs.
Right, so now it's time to go through the numbers, and we're going to start with the BMWs from yesterday. So if you remember, we did 227 miles, a bit more than that, in both of those BMWs. Will, you were in the M440i. How much fuel did you put in and how much did it cost?
Well, I needed to put in 26.19 litres, very expensive, motorway service station of course, so pretty much top end, £1.99 a litre. And the total cost was £52.09p.
£52.09p, okay. So I was in the i4, obviously did the same miles, the same journey, and when I charged it up at an Ionity charger in Leeds, I needed 83.68 kilowatt hours. And the price, it's 69p per kilowatt hour. And the total cost of that was £57.73. So more expensive than the fuel needed in the M440i.
Quite a bit more. And it's a more expensive car, of course, to buy.
So now the Peugeots, which we've just driven back to Cobham, we've fully charged this E208, and I filled up the 208. And it required, after 208 miles, funnily enough, 15.96 litres. The fuel price was exactly the same here as it was in Leeds yesterday, and the total cost of that was £31.90. How much did it cost to charge it up?
Well, obviously we had to do 2 charges. We had to stop on the way because it couldn't make it in one hit. But if you add both of those charges together, and obviously same price, we were using Ionity chargers for both tests, so 69p a kilowatt hour, and that came to a total of around about £41.50.
£41.50. So, right, 10 quid more than the petrol price.
I know.
We're doing exactly the same journey. So what did we learn? Well, in this test on the day, it was more expensive to do our 200-mile journeys in an electric car than a petrol car. A result which many people will be shocked by. And since we filmed this test, petrol prices have come down from their record highs, while the electricity costs of many charging companies have gone up. There are, though, some important caveats to note here. This test was designed to see what you'd pay if you had to charge or fill up in a hurry at a motorway service station. The Ionity chargers we used are some of the most expensive around, and petrol prices are also usually significantly cheaper off the motorway network. Finding much cheaper petrol is at least relatively easy, whereas finding much cheaper public charging stations can be tricky, because they're typically in less convenient locations and are often slower too. But the main counter-argument for electric cars here is that if you have the ability to charge up at home, you'll pay far less than you would at an expensive public charger, even factoring in recent price rises. Do this and a journey in your EV will be significantly cheaper than the same miles in a fuel-powered car. Still, in the early days of electric cars, it was taken as a given that they would be much cheaper to run than an equivalent petrol car. That isn't necessarily the case today. For much more on the cost of electric cars versus petrol cars, go to our website, whatcar.com, where you can also read all of our reviews and get yourself a great saving on your next car. Thanks for watching, and to see lots more videos like this, subscribe to our channel.